Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Slappin Kpop podcast. I'm Sammi, and today with me I have Kayla.
Hello.
And today we are going to present to you our very well-researched, very supported argument on why Vincenzo fucking sucks.
It's a terrible show. This is one of the worst shows I have watched in a long time, and I don't understand how people like it at all. And I think it's such a bad show. It's a terrible show.
It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, because I've seen a lot of shit.
No, it's not as bad as Missing 9. I'll give it that on Missing 9, but like it's down there in worst shows I've seen.
Yeah, it's not as bad as The King Eternal Monarch or like certain shows that enrage me.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly for one reason, and we'll get to the reason in a second.
Mm-hmm.
There's one saving grace, but we have decided to talk about Vincenzo, and
the only show that we've decided to give a single episode to that we don't like and are here to just talk about why we don't like it. Because there's a lot of thoughts. We have so many thoughts on it.
I think it is just because we have a lot. It's not a bad show where we're like, oh, this is just bad. This show, weirdly,
so many thoughts,
has a lot of things that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
So if we want to just start with the show, it stars Song Joong Ki,
mm-hmm.
a good actor. A very good actor.
Mm-hmm.
Been in a lot of good shows. Well, one incredibly good show
and a bunch of recently a lot of questionable shows. So
I'm gonna say a very good actor because of his one masterpiece.
Yes, we have talked about how we do think there was a certain point where he hit a decline and started doing very weird shows.
He decided his career was going to go in a direction that we were not on board with, if you will.
And spoilers, but not really spoilers. It was right after he got a divorce is when that started to hit.
I mean, he didn't really make that many shows while he was married.
No, he did not.
He was also not married for a very long time, but that's neither here nor there.
No.
But
that is, he's on a weird path right now with the
correlation does not equal causation.
Yeah.
But it was a show. It aired on TVN, so it's cable drama. It aired on TV, and most people know it because it was advertised ad nauseum on Netflix.
And I think it also it went to Netflix Korea like simultaneously with TVN broadcast,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah. And a bunch of people were very into it. And you know what? If you love it, good for you. Very happy for you. We do not.
I wish I liked it. You know?
In a way, I feel like if this show was done differently, I would have loved it.
Mm-hmm.
In that, it seemed like a bunch of people just thought they were in different shows.
It seems like there's like a good idea there. Like it could be good, but everything about the way they made the characters and presented the storyline, there's just a lot of things that went wrong over the course of it.
So essentially, so the plot of this show essentially revolves around Song Joong Ki's character. He does have a name. I don't care because all I can see is Song Joong Ki.
Vincenzo
He's reached
Casado.
that level as an actor. Sure.
It's a titular Vincenzo.
He's the Vincenzo, but I refuse to call him that.
No.
He is but he was apparently adopted by an Italian family. He's a Korean-born person,
and
not just
any Italian family either.
An Italian mob family.
Yes,
a Don, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And he becomes the consigliere or the lawyer for this mafia family.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, what?
Sure.
What are we doing?
Number one, yeah, like what's going on with that?
But also, like, if you've seen The Godfather, that is entirely how I know the process of the mob is from The Godfather.
Yes.
But just generally, this just seemed like a weird way to take this show from that point.
Him being Italian adds nothing to the show, like, at all.
No!
Because this show is very Korean. So, like, him being an Italian mafia lawyer, like, adding nothing to the show.
Yes. So then, the Don dies, and his son takes over, and then essentially just runs him out of Italy because he's like, nah, we're gonna try to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
For what reason? I don't know. that was just an odd choice.
Yep.
But the other thing is I want to talk about, because they never really go back to Italy. They go to Italy for the first episode and that's it. And I want to talk about how they essentially tried to recreate the, horse head in the bed moment, where he essentially just burns down an estate for no reason.
An entire estate with, like, vineyards, like, all of it, yeah.
But also from, like, the front lawn.
Mm-hmm.
In that he just I don't know how everything is doused in fucking gasoline.
Because he sent that plane thing that was supposed to be, like spreading fertilizer, but I think he sprayed, like, gasoline. Yeah.
But, like, that was not gonna cover everything, where if you light a fire on the lawn out front...
No, it's
just
like,
gonna burn
not
the
how
house down. That's not how fires work, I think. But sure. So he's run out of Italy by the family that raised him, and then he goes back to Seoul to go retrieve... This is where it really gets stupid.
This is still episode 1, and we're already stupid in episode 1.
He's going back to Korea to retrieve some gold that he had helped a Chinese mafia lord of some kind, whatever that equivalent, the triad lord, I don't know, who hid it in, like, the base, not even the basement, a fucking bunker.
Yes.
Underneath this, like, run-down building. And there's just a bunch of gold bars in there.
Yes.
So now he's going back to go retrieve that gold, where he just finds out that this, like, real estate company has acquired the building. And I guess they're planning on demolishing it? But my question still remains. Take the money and leave. Why are we here?
I don't understand really a lot of the decisions happening. And it's maybe because he doesn't want to alert the building tenants to the fact that there's money, but it's like they all become aware of the fact that that's what we're doing quickly at some point too. So it's like, what are we waiting for here? So the main conceit of this show is not even really the mafia aspect. It is the fact that Vincenzo, Song Joong Ki, wants this gold. But I guess for him to get this gold undetected, he has to essentially enter a court battle with this real estate group who has supposedly used, like, unscrupulous tactics to get this building. And it's like he meets a lawyer in the building who's, like, trying to help the tenants get the building back in their name. Sure. And then he becomes a good guy lawyer. And then which he doesn't, because he's a fucking sociopath. Yeah, and so... The people who bought this building is like a big pharmaceutical company. Yes. And they are the main, like, antagonists of the show. But the problem is with this is that yes, the pharmaceutical company is evil, but Song Joong Ki is equally as evil. Also evil. He is he is a sociopath. Like, he is a crazy person. And it's very hard for me to enjoy a show at all when I can't get behind the main character because he sucks. I don't even need you to be a good person because we're also really into the penthouse right now. Yes, penthouse. No one in the penthouse is a good person. No, horrible. Every single one of them terrible. But, like, do I care more? Yes. Incredibly, yes, do I care more about everyone on the penthouse than I did anybody in Vincenzo, except for one person. Oh, yes. We'll get to the shining star in a moment. But... So essentially the show, delete all the mafia aspect. He meets this, like, super good guy lawyer who has a daughter who works for that big pharma company. And you can see where that relationship's gonna go from a mile away. Oh, yes. So he, like, and Song Joong Ki are gonna try to, like, get the building from this corporation. And then he gets murdered or... The good lawyer gets murdered. Yeah, the good lawyer gets murdered. His daughter realizes, the company I work for is shit. Let me go become a good person lawyer. And her and Song Joong Ki and all of the comedy routine tenants, because that's what they are. They're just clowns. They're fucking clowns. Terrible. We'll talk about some of the standouts. Yeah. Are just all attempting to, like, take down this company so they can keep their building. That is the plot of this show. Yeah. And I genuinely think that the tenants are the worst part of the show. These tenants are garbage. Oh my god, I hate them. The minute they show up and they're just like, they're like bad comedy. Like they're supposed to be like weird comic relief, but they're just bad. Like they're so annoying.
The like you have the monks, which are just why are they here?
Yeah, the monks, because the gold is underneath the monks. The place, I don't know, wherever they're. It's their place in the building. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
really,
it's their corner of the building.
Yeah.
Then you have.
Oh my god, that fucking chef, the fake Italian chef, is the worst one.
So there's a quote-unquote Italian restaurant in the building, which, haha, funny, he's Italian, blah, 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 haha, hilarity ensues. Can you tell the comedy really got to me?
He's terrible. Like,
he's so annoying.
He is so terrible. I think they also, like, they make him look really bad, too, because he's got, like, a weird mustache going on. And
it's essentially like...
He's so bad.
Picture the Italian, like, fucking Italian curly mustache from, like, a comedy routine. That's what he gets that entire show.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Terrible.
And then you have the one that's... I think he runs the pawn shop that actually becomes somewhat of a character.
Yes, and he's, like, a side goon for them for, like, the whole thing, yeah. A lot of these building tenants become like side goons for him and the other lawyer. These people who are fighting a legal battle.
Yeah, when they attempt to kidnap people and kill them, and it's totally fine
and it's totally
for them
okay
to do
because they're the good guys, quote unquote.
Yeah, when they attempt to kill people and have the side goons put up these elaborate plots to try to kill people, totally fine when they do it though.
Oh yeah, totally fine. And
so,
it's like they're used a lot as like they're just here to like be a distraction, or they're here to like clean up the bodies, or they're like doing something, you know, like your typical goon activity.
Yeah,
and so they're just present all the way through, and they're supposed to be kind of funny, but they're not funny at all.
I remember one specific instance. I don't know at what point this is happening in, but I remember it as a time where like the villains had killed somebody, and it was like made to be this whole big issue.
Yeah,
but at that point they had taken, I think, a bunch of goons. This is a specific instance where I'm like, this is a shit show.
Yeah.
Do you remember the part where they had gotten these goons and had them in the car? Were essentially just gassing the car?
Oh, yes.
So essentially, I forget
I don't remember
what exactly precedented this.
A lot of it is so similar that it all blends together.
Yeah, I remember this because the real estate company had hired like these low-level goons. These are just people. These people are not murderers. They're not people off the street, but they had come in to just steal something from, I think, the lawyer girl's house. Or something.
Right.
And when they caught them, essentially they put them in this car and were trying to essentially do the thing where like if you put a car in an enclosed space, you're gonna die of carbon monoxide poisoning, because that's how people commit suicide in cars. And my thing with that is, this is what sociopaths do.
Yes, 100%.
This is crazy.
There's another time where they put a bunch of them in a freezer somewhere.
Yes.
And I'm like, these are our main protagonists of this show, and I get it, we're fighting an evil company who's doing the same thing, but you also like attempting to murder and torture people like doesn't make you a better person.
That you're doing the same scrupulous tactics.
No, and the fact that like yes, they're trying to take down evil big pharma, but you're also trying to like steal this money from a dead man is like also really not great
that this
either.
Dead man was also not essentially like a mafia boss as well. All of you are terrible. But I think it's just the air of superiority, because throughout this entire thing, they look down upon this other company, and I'm like, you're doing the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
You're doing the exact same things, except we're being told that you're the good guys because you're obviously the protagonist of the show, so we should root for this side that is still equally as bad.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no. Like, there's so many parts of the show where I'm like, you know what, I was kind of hoping you would fail, because the other side, the quote-unquote evil side, is so much more interesting, so much more entertaining to watch. Like, everything about them is better.
I think this is a perfect time to introduce the evil side.
The big star of the show.
So, essentially, this evil corporation has a head. He's like a figurehead. He is actually the he's the son of the original founder, I believe.
Yes, I think so.
And he has these two main lawyers, a male lawyer and a female lawyer, who are just both, like...
pretty evil.
Yeah, like, your stereotypical unscrupulous lawyer, do anything to win the case, will, like, go down to any level.
Mm-hmm.
And they have an intern. So originally they have
the main girl
working. Working for them. But then she leaves, and at one point there's this intern that we meet, played by Taecyeon.
Taecyeon of 2 p.m.
Love him. Support the 2 p.m.
Adorable.
comeback.
Love him.
Adorable. Love him. And he is... It's very fun because it's sort of implied that he studied in the States, so he'll just jump back and forth between Korean and English, and it's very cute.
Yes, it's very cute.
He is this bubbly, over-the-top, kind of incompetent intern.
Yes.
Turns out he is not.
No.
We find out later through an evil PowerPoint
presentation.
Inspiration.
Probably the best scene of that entire show.
Oh, I love that. I love that scene. That he is not just an evil intern. He is the other son of the founder. I think he's the older son.
Yeah.
So he is the actual heir. And he's just crazy.
He is a crazy person.
Crazy. And he is the best part of this show.
He is amazing.
Only good part of this show.
Yes.
I adore every scene that has him in it.
He is so good. And he's just so good as this character, and I think a lot of it I give more credit to Taecyeon than I give to the writing of the show, because the way that he took this character and interpreted it is fantastic.
Oh, I love it. I could see this character just being terrible.
Yeah.
But Taecyeon, I think, knew what kind of character, because weirdly, this show is categorized as a dark comedy. And I think
the other thing with the show is yes, it's a dark comedy, but it was not at all marketed as a comedy in the slightest.
It was marketed as a serious show.
A serious, like, a legal melodrama. And then you get to the first episode of the show, and I'm like, this show is like half a comedy.
Yes.
And it's very bizarre.
The thing with it is, I think you have to take this kind of comedy in a darkly comedic way, whereas I think where the clear distinction comes in is I think the Tenants are doing a Korean sitcom.
Yes.
They're taking this in the direction of just
full comedy, Korean sitcom.
It's full Korean comedy, which is very over the top, very slapstick. It's like a lot to handle.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Taecyeon took this character and was like, he's crazy and over the top.
Yes.
But he knows when to rein it in and be this actually darkly intimidating character when he's, like, bashing someone's head in with a hockey
stick and, like, laughing about it. Yeah.
Yes, having the time of his life and then turning around and laughing his ass off.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of where I find that's so funny.
There's another scene that he has where he is, like, speeding in the car with the two lawyers in the back, and he's like, however much money they lost in that court battle, and he's just yelling at them. And then he gets out and he hits the car with a golf club, and he's like, I've never lost in my life. What is this? Like, what is wrong?
What is this feeling?
And I love that he constantly goes back and forth between, like, he'll get random English phrases in there. Because I know for a fact that's not something that was written in a script, and it's just something that he's doing for fun. And those are some of the best parts of his character, is when he just random bursts of English, because they're so funny.
And the thing with that is you can tell the difference because they make Song Joong Ki do the same thing. Song Joong Ki does that with Italian. And Song Joong Ki obviously does not actually know how to speak Italian. So the way he says it sounds unnatural because that's not where you would put that. Like, it just seems like, oh, this was written in the script this way, and it's written out. Mm-hmm. So it probably, things sound different when you write them to when you're saying them. There's a lot of scenes when he's supposedly cursing in
Italian, except for the fact that he can't speak Italian. So he's it's just nonsense.
And it just sounds weird.
Yeah.
And, like, you can sort of tell that he's trying, and it's not he's trying, and he definitely got lessons, and it doesn't sound terrible, but it does not sound like someone who's lived their life in Italy.
Yeah.
And it's just going back and forth between Italian and Korean. Taecyeon this seems far more natural when he does it.
Oh,
it just seems like this is just how this
because I honestly
like
feel like that's
pattern.
probably just like how he speaks as well. Like he'll just have random bursts of English like in conversation sometimes. So
I feel like Taecyeon just might do that in his life, and
because that's the thing that like bilingual
adorable.
people do, because like sometimes that'll just happen.
Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't know the word in one language, so you'll say it in another language that you do know the word for.
Yes.
And it's very cute and it's very fun, and it gives that character like a fun, natural set. Like little quirk to it.
Yes.
And it's the only like I like the fact that the diagnosed sociopath is the only character that has that like makes logical sense.
I know. It's because the way that this show ended up working is that literally every single person on this show is evil and ridiculous, but Taecyeon is like really the only person there who like knows he's over the top and evil and ridiculous, and is like it's like actively him and the other two lawyers that are evil on his side. It's like they get the vibe of the show that they're supposed to be in.
I think they understand what a dark comedy means.
Yeah. Song Joong Ki
and
the female lead have no idea the vibe of the show that they're in right now. It's like, and I think that's my big problem.
That's almost the worst part of this show is that like, if this, because I genuinely feel like if this show had been a melodrama, like take out the comedy.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been still been bad because you would have taken out the parts that are Taecyeon's comedy.
Yeah.
But I think that you could keep Taecyeon's quirks. Make Taecyeon like a very weird, like kind of funny villain.
I think you could still leave him as a funny villain with just like over the top and ridiculous, but if you kept the whole thing like not a comedy, the other side is just a melodrama, but you just have this over the top villain, I still think that works as a show concept.
That does work for me.
Yeah.
And I just think that the problem with this show is them doing the comedy elements where they don't need them.
No.
Like, if you're gonna make your characters... If you're gonna make this an anti-hero story, make your character an anti-hero. Do not make him do everything an anti-hero would do, but to still tell me he's a good person, because he's not.
He's not.
Song Joong Ki faces zero consequences for... He does shit that Taecyeon also... Like, him and Taecyeon are very similar.
They're the same, because there's a constant on both sides, like kidnapping and torturing and murdering of people. Both sides are doing it. Taecyeon...
But only one side gets punished.
Only one side is like acknowledged as evil because of it, and I'm like, okay, but we're doing the same thing over here on the supposed good side. Like, it's not
exactly
like you're not better. Like they are on this like moral high ground where it's like
where they don't need to be.
Yeah.
The other and then Taecyeon will just embrace the fact that he is like, yeah, I'm crazy.
Yes.
I'm a murderer. Mm-hmm. I know this about myself, and
he's like, I think he's like. He knows he's crazy, but he's like relishing in the fact that he's crazy. Yeah.
I think the man is just actively diagnosed as a sociopath or as a psychopath. I think he might be an actual psychopath.
He's probably both.
And he is aware of that. Yeah. He's just like, yeah, no, I'm crazy.
Yeah.
And
what? Like, Song Joong Ki also a sociopath, but he is... I think the thing with him is, like, sometimes you get the comedy out of Song Joong Ki, but it's at very inconsequential points of the stories. It's like when he's in the shower, and the shower is not working, or when he's talking to this dumb pigeon that lives outside his bedroom window.
Yeah, a continual plot point in this show is that Song Joong Ki has a love-hate relationship with a pigeon that lives outside his window.
Which, like, fucking, the pigeon, like, at one, like, towards the end, when Song Joong Ki is on a rooftop, and, like... in trouble because the Italian mafia people show up again and Taecyeon's also there and whatever. The pigeon, like, summons all of his friends to help him.
Pigeon friends.
And I'm like, what are we doing with right now with the pigeon? Yep.
Then you also have the one episode where they make Song Joong Ki pretend to be gay.
Oh, this is maybe my favorite episode of that show.
It might be the best. It might be the overall best episode of that show because it might be the only time where they make the comedy with Song Joong Ki work.
That's the only episode of the show where I think they realized the genre of show that they're in. Yeah.
So in this episode, they realize that this company is going to invest in Taecyeon's company, and they have to like get the
CEO or whatever guy of this company.
or like the CFO or whatever, to
business
not
person,
do it.
I don't know, yeah.
Business person. And so what they find out is that this CEO, CFO is gay and also likes to just beat up men.
Yeah, he has like a history of like domestic violence. Like he just beats up every single boyfriend that he's ever had for some reason.
Which again, I want to point out, of course we have to make every single person in the show that you're gonna end up ruining their lives. They have to make them
be
terrible.
Horrible, yeah.
They have to also be terrible, but also the fact that you've just ruined this man's life. So they make Song Joong Ki essentially seduce him.
Yes.
And then break his heart, which is actually really sad. He's like sitting out in the rain.
It's very
He's like looking at Song Joong Ki's window. It's actually quite sad and funny.
Right?
That's the only time where the comedy, it's a dark comedy. It works that way.
And then
it works in that character.
It's so funny because at one point he says, "No, I'm not going to invest in the company." But then there's his mother, because Taecyeon's side like picks up on something weird's happening, and so evil lawyer lady calls up his mother. And
who is the actual owner of the company, who they essentially made look exactly like Queen Elizabeth II, like full like pastel suits with like 2 corgis.
Yes. And then she comes in to the press release thing, and it was like, you have no idea what you're doing. We are gonna invest in the company. Get out of here.
You're an idiot. Shut the fuck up. Get out.
And then
they still kidnap him.
Song Joong Ki afterwards. Because they apparently expected something stupid to happen. They take this poor man and like traumatize him. Where they they take their tenant goons, lock him in a room, pretend he's being like attacked by zombies or something.
Make him look crazy.
And
to the public,
and then as soon as he comes out, he's like mentally distraught because you've just like tortured this man in this like room.
You've essentially just like, and this has to be against like the Geneva Convention or some shit.
And then they
like,
release all of his torture. His past like domestic violence problems or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there was no need for them to just torture him,
traumatize him. No, no, this is all too much. And also, why did we need to do this whole thing? Just release the domestic violence thing to the press.
And there was way too many steps, and they are like going so far out of their way to just completely humiliate and destroy this man on their way to like, we have our ultimate end goal, but like, let's like make him distraught and traumatized as possible in the process.
It's nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but honestly, that's the best episode of that show.
It is.
Genuinely, it is.
It's a wild episode, but it like, that's the only episode where I think everyone is on board with like, this is over the top and ridiculous and everyone is crazy. And like, that's where everyone understands it, because in other parts of the show, Song Joong Ki, when especially these action scenes when they're like fucking kidnapping and torturing people, he's way too serious about it. And I'm like, he's just taking it way, way too seriously, and he's trying to pretend that he is the good guy, but I'm like, you're not. Like, you really are a crazy person.
Yeah, I don't understand how we're meant to view Song Joong Ki as the overall hero of the story, when in reality I find him to be possibly more of a villain than Taecyeon.
I think he is in a way. Because at the end of this show...
Yes, it is Big Pharma.
It is
Fuck
Big Pharma. I hate Big Pharma.
But...
Horrible.
But...
Yes.
But... At least there's no hypocrisy there.
Yeah. And it's almost I appreciate it more for the fact that they are aware of the fact they are evil.
And they embrace it almost fully.
But we're embracing it, yeah. Because at the end of the show, everyone is murdered. Like, the 2 lawyers murdered, Taecyeon also murdered very brutally.
And the brother, Taecyeon's brother also murdered. Everyone's dead.
Yes.
And
Song Joong Ki gets away untouched.
Scot-free.
Yeah.
Interpol is looking for him, but they won't find him. And I'm like, what the fuck? Am I supposed to be happy that we just have a massive criminal mob boss with goons out in the world? Am I happy? Am I supposed to be happy?
Nope.
But yes, and I want to go over just how he kills these people, because it is so unnecessarily brutal.
It is. It really is.
When Taecyeon kidnaps someone, he beats them to death with a hockey stick. That is not painless.
Yes.
But
or he just like shoots him, like pretty basic him. Like ways to murder a person.
Basic, quick, easy, not gonna take hours and hours. Song Joong Ki at one point, so Taecyeon, the male lawyer, and Taecyeon's brother have betrayed him and gone to the Song Joong Ki side, so he has them both murdered. Great. Yeah. Lawyer man just stabbed on the steps of a
his
courthouse.
Just
Great.
Shot and
it's fine.
Like, just bleeds
brother
out.
Shot. Yeah. It's fine. Chill. So Taecyeon kidnaps the lawyer lady and sets her up in this abandoned warehouse where he essentially straps her down and glues her feet to the concrete floor. Douses her in essentially like some sort of flammable liquid. Probably the same shit he did for the villa. And then sets her on fire.
Yes.
Not her. Sets an entire abandoned building on fire, which again, that can cause a lot of collateral damage.
Oh, yes.
Who knows how many acres of... I just want to see a news report. There's been a massive fire in Seoul. It went... No. Oh, no. It also hit this orphanage that happened to be a way off.
It's just like, be more responsible about this.
Be more responsible with your murder plots, really people. Now. And then Taecyeon, he straps to this machine that is apparently gonna slowly impale him at like 3 centimeters per hour.
It's like 1 millimeter at a time. It's like something really ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like 1 centimeter per hour, so it's gonna take like 12 hours to kill him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are we doing?
And I'm like, this is the man I'm supposed to be rooting for this entire show. And he's clearly a psychopath. Like,
he's clearly more of a psychopath than Taecyeon, because Taecyeon has never done anything like that to anyone in this show.
No.
Taecyeon also crazy.
Crazy.
But having more fun. Taecyeon looks like he's enjoying himself.
Having fun.
Song Joong Ki never looks like he's having any fun.
I also want to talk about the fact that there's a lot of scenes with Taecyeon where they like one of his like goon meeting places is just on an ice rink for some reason.
Yes, where he's just practicing hockey.
Full hockey uniform, yeah.
I love it.
And then it'll just like he'll be talking with the goons, and then if he's mad at a goon, he'll like beat him with a hockey stick. Like,
or he'll like just like basically like knock the puck into them at like high speeds.
Yes,
it's great.
Yes. He's having like fun. He's having fun with the way that he like tortures and kills people.
It's more fun.
It is. And it's like, just when you're talking about that episode with like the businessman, watching that episode, I was rooting more for Taecyeon and the lawyers than I was for Song Joong Ki, the other people, like, because they are so terrible that I'm like, I don't actually want you to win this. Like,
I would like all of you to lose your building.
Please.
Please lose your building. So, overall, that is the plot. I also want to just, for a second, talk about, just the fact that, I mean, we read this comment right before we started recording of that this show feels like it was meant to be a tribute to Song Joong Ki, and it does. This feels like it was made for Song Joong Ki.
It seems like it was written specifically for Song Joong Ki and for this character to be Song Joong Ki. Like, it feels like the whole thing was written for him.
I don't think anybody else could have played this character, because I feel like it is just Song Joong Ki.
Yes, 100%.
But this ended up being a love letter to Taecyeon, because Taecyeon is the most memorable part of the show. This will go down as a top-tier Taecyeon performance, but it will not go down as a top-tier Song Joong Ki performance, I'll tell you that.
No, not at all. And it's just so interesting, because also the way that they had marketed the show, they kept the fact that Taecyeon was the villain a secret the entire time, like, pre-promotion of the show up until the episode where you actually find out that he's evil. And it's like, it is a nice reveal that that is what was going to happen, but I wasn't aware of how good Taecyeon was going to be at that show. And I was like, cool, he's going to be evil, it's probably going to be whatever. But the way that
he's phenomenal.
The way he's able to balance just like the absolute comedy with being completely crazy is fantastic.
I also just want to point out that I feel like I never... Because I always knew Taecyeon was a good actor. I've seen him in stuff before. It's been great.
But it has not
been... But it has never been where he plays the villain, because a lot of good Korean actors just don't play the villain character.
No.
Like, that's just not...
Top
you play
Korean
the male
actors,
lead that gets the girl.
Right, and then, like, Taecyeon's, like, it's ones that I've seen is in, like, Save Me, and he's male lead in that, and then in Bring It On Ghost, it's, like, he's playing, like, very similar, like, protagonist, like, good guy characters in both of those.
Yeah, nothing particularly where he has to, like, go so far out of who he... Like, it could still just be a heightened version of Taecyeon.
Right.
Like,
those like those characters he was playing was just like a semi-different version of just Taecyeon being, like, a good guy in each of those scenarios, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and I think this really shows that Taecyeon is a very versatile and a very good actor.
He's so versatile, and I never would have expected him as an actor to have, like, that much versatility.
That much range?
Yeah.
Yes. It's so good. I'm so happy, and I want to see more of this side of Taecyeon.
Oh, yes, 100%.
Like, not that I'm saying that he now has to play a villain every time, but I like the fact that now I'm curious to see, because I didn't watch The Game Toward Zero, which is his first show out of the military.
I am about to watch that one.
Yeah, I hadn't, like, that one, I'm not sure what kind of character he's playing in that.
He seems the same, because he's just, I think, your male
he's just the male lead.
Like, good guy.
But
type,
now But now with this, I'm like, well, now he can...
Well, now that we know he can
so
be
many
evil.
different directions.
I want more evil Taecyeon. Like, give me more
just,
crazy evil Taecyeon.
It's crazy evil Taecyeon, or, like, villain Taecyeon. I'm okay. Now, Taecyeon, you've proven to me that I'm, like, play any kind of roles. Maybe not crazy. You can even just play regular, like, super sinister evil.
Yes.
Because the parts where he was sinister were also
really good at that. So... Yeah.
So, like, now I'm just like, Taecyeon, you have free reign.
And
do whatever you want.
And I think the big part of, like, actors going into villain roles is that first you have to be, like, comfortable with, like, that actor being a villain. Because I think for a lot of these, like mainstream Korean actors, they're always just, like, male lead, that once you put them in a villain role, it kind of changes the audience's perception of them, and I think a lot of male actors probably stay away from that for that reason.
Yeah, because I do think that at that point you're risking not being, if you play enough villain roles, you're risking not being able to go back to the male lead, yeah. Mode. But I feel like, look at Taecyeon. I think he'll be fine.
And he was so good at this that I think that he can, like, honestly, he's also done so much, like, regular male lead stuff that he can just do really both now. And I don't think anything is going to be, like, he's not going to have a big problem with either type of role he takes on. The fact that he's also an idol, too, probably has a stigma on him already for being an idol actor. But
I feel like we're starting to get out of that between him and Dio, and
you do reach.
Like,
it's like you gotta be a while because you gotta
like
reach. You gotta reach, like, a point, I think, for that.
Yeah.
Because, like, that they've been in acting so long that it's like people don't care anymore.
Again, yeah, I think that you gotta be an idol for a decent amount of time so that you prove your. And also, I do think that you can't just start being a villain in a drama. You gotta work your way. You gotta work
your way there, yeah.
I mean, we've seen a lot of times when a lot of these very popular idols get automatically put into, like, lead roles.
Yeah.
That's never a good idea. You gotta, like, build your way to your lead role.
Oh, yeah.
Start with, like, a supporting actor.
Throwing someone into a lead role with no acting experience prior is, like, not the way you want to be building your acting career, because then you're in a lead role, you don't have experience, and you look bad, and then everyone just remembers you for being bad.
As being bad.
Because you don't have any previous experience acting, so of course you're gonna be probably bad your first go around.
If you're gonna... Exactly, and if you're gonna start with the, like, a supporting role where it's like, I mean, she was bad, and, like, oh, they were not good at the supporting role, but, like, the show was good.
Yes.
Or, yeah, the show was shit. Of course everyone was gonna be bad.
Right.
It's like, your fault will never be in that supporting role, or, like, you'll sort of, like, get around it.
Mm-hmm.
I think starting off especially on something where, like, you're not playing the traditional lead.
Yeah.
That's why everyone starts in a school show.
There's, like, a handful
Those are hit and miss anyway.
Yeah. There's a handful of, like, idol actors who are not in that, like, just a male lead thing, where it's, like, Taecyeon and Dio are both there, and then also, like, Channy is in that realm,
is slowly going in there,
Yeah, and then it's, like, if you, like, look at the Zia boys, who honestly at this point, not even
the
really,
Zia boys
just
don't
actors.
remember that they were in Zia.
Yeah, but, like,
I don't know if I don't know if because I've seen, my favorite thing will always be, every once in a while, I watched a lot of the Hwarang interviews beforehand,
yes. Mm-hmm.
and V and Minho would mention that they were idols.
And then Hyunsik is like, nah.
But Hyunsik would not. And I'm like, you were also an idol.
You were.
You were also
an idol.
there.
You were in an idol group. You were an idol.
Like, yes, it wasn't SHINee or BTS
right,
level.
but like you were indeed an idol.
Dear God, were you there?
Yeah, you were there.
Zia was not like...
Zia also, I don't think, is technically disbanded, so like...
It has not. Technically, they're not disbanded.
I mean, technically, they're still in Zia.
And also, technically, like, Zia was not like a Nugu of Nugu. Like, Zia was like...
People
not the
know
most
of...
unpopular thing I've ever seen.
No, but it was because they had all these people. Like, it's Hyunsik and Dongjun and Siwon and then Kwang Hee. People knew them, and so they knew of Zia through them. So they got like some clout from that.
But Astro also has Eunwoo and SF9 has Rose.
Yeah.
Like, it's not an unrespectful way to know an idol group by the extremely popular actor that they have.
But like Dongjun and Siwon have gone darker, crazy roles in shows too.
I'm excited for
Dongjun a little bit less so than Siwon, but like the two of them are sort of in that realm of being able to do both too.
Yeah, it's a good thing for idols to just sort of get more range. I think you do need to like be out of the idol industry in a way of like, you know, Taecyeon's is old now.
Dio is old.
Dio's old now. Channy's getting up there.
Channy
years.
started
He's not as young as he ever was.
Channy started as a child. Taecyeon was already playing like really like sad, like intense like roles as a child. So
right before he became an idol, Channy played a regretful teenage father.
Yeah, and he also I think he probably had that role in Signal before he was in SF9.
Probably.
Where he gets sent to prison for being falsely accused of like sexual, like essentially rape, and then gets murdered immediately after getting out of jail. So like,
oh, good for him. And then he gets falsely accused of murder in Sky Castle, and then he's just dead in True Beauty, and now he's doing whatever he's doing in Imitation.
Oh, God. We don't need to talk about that right now.
But back to Vincenzo.
Yep.
Taecyeon, absolute
a star.
delight.
What a star he is.
A star.
Mm-hmm.
Love him.
He's great. Another thing that I kept seeing about this show is I think it's like... Because this show apparently did very well. It's like, it had good ratings.
Apparently.
It's one of the highest rated Korean dramas in cable television. Some people loved it. I know a decent amount of people, just looking at like my drama list, also very much disliked it because it was boring. And I think the main thing that turned me off for it immediately, because I had mentioned back in our Asian like drama watch list update that I had started it and immediately stopped because I felt like the vibe of the show was just off. And I think that's a problem.
It was off so the story really goes that after you dropped it, I was like, yeah, sure, I'll pick it up. I'll watch it. Taecyeon, I had mainly because I had seen a scene of Taecyeon.
Yes.
And I was like, this is amazing.
Taecyeon, I've watched...
He looks amazing.
Like, before I went and I, like speed watched it, I, like, watched all the clips of Taecyeon because Taecyeon is fantastic. Like, absolutely amazing.
And then I sort of did my watch through of it, really, watching it, zoning out a little bit for some scenes that were just pointless, and then being very engaged with every Taecyeon scene.
Mm-hmm. And that's really the only thing that kept me, like, wanting to even speed watch the rest of it in the first place. Is like, well, I know Taecyeon is good, so maybe I'll just, like, really just watch it for Taecyeon, and we'll get, like, glimpses of, like, stuff that's happening along the way. But from, like, what I picked up from it, it was just a lot of the same stuff happening again. It was the same cycle of we're gonna, like, kidnap and torture people, and, like, both sides are gonna do that, and it's just, like, a different person each episode. And I'm like, it's like, all of it's the same, and all of you are equally as bad, and then most of the time, Song Joong Ki doesn't know what show he is in, and it's just, like, the vibe is wrong, and...
The vibe is off.
And we're just doing that for 20 episodes straight. I'm like, great.
We are, and it's weird. Like, I did not enjoy it. I enjoyed parts of it, but really the only parts of it that I enjoyed, you can find a YouTube compilation.
Yes, YouTube. I very much recommend looking up YouTube compilations of Taecyeon in the show, because those are
I still occasionally get them recommended, and it makes me laugh.
It makes me so happy.
Every time. I adore them.
He's so funny.
There's not enough of those scenes, to be honest.
There isn't. There's just, like, he's so good. And it's just, like, where he's, like, just comedically, like, murdering a person. And it's, like, those are the scenes of the show that are good for some reason. It's where Taecyeon is, like, murdering a person, but being so ridiculous about it that it's funny. Like, that's the only part of the show that is even a little bit interesting.
Yeah. I just think overall this show had potential.
It does.
I could see this show being good if done entirely differently.
Yeah, I feel almost if you switch Taecyeon and Song Joong Ki's roles, you like switch them, I feel like that would honestly almost make the show better. Because if Taecyeon is the way that he is, and he's acting so insane and over the top, but now he's the male lead, and now that's the person you're supposed to be rooting for, and then Song Joong Ki is over there being evil, but he's just being Song Joong Ki and evil.
Maybe that
better. Fixes it. Because then I think it's almost, the vibe fits better if it's the villain that doesn't know what show he's in and he's just evil. And when you're trying to run this comedy show and your male lead is actually now funny.
I think the problem with that continues to be that we still have to deal with those tenets.
The tenets just have to leave. Like, you can't have these tenets. Like,
the tenets are the real problem here, because I don't care about them at all.
No.
And they're in so much of that show.
And they're so such
unnecessary.
They're so unnecessary, and they're bringing down the show so much.
They make the show actively worse, to be honest. And overall, I just find that this show is good. If we take out the tenets and everyone is put on the same page. If this becomes a melodrama, perfect. If this is a comedy show, you have to rework this show if you want it to be a comedy.
Because it's marked, so it's under, like, it's technically considered comedy in the genre. The fact of the matter is that they did not market it as a comedy. And I don't think half of these actors realize that they signed up for a comedy. Like, I don't think Song Joong Ki really is on board with the fact that this is supposed to be a comedy. Like,
no. I don't think anyone else is on board with the fact that this is a comedy. But also, I think the tenants only think of this as a comedy.
Right.
That's all that they signed up for, was the comedy aspect. Yeah. I don't know if they knew that they had to do a drama.
Yes, and I think this is the main problem with the show, is it cannot balance the vibe that it wants of being, like, a serious show and also being a comedy. And there are shows that do that well. Like, it's a very different show, but, like, The Uncanny Counter is a very emotional show, but also very funny at the same time.
Because and I also think because we're dealing with absolutely different, because the emotion of Uncanny Counter is not meant to be dread and horror and people getting murdered. It's meant to be absolutely emotional investment. And I think that the emotions of sadness and comedy are very, you can have a sad comedy. And it lightens the show. Yeah. This show is trying to be fucking The Penthouse, but a comedy.
Yes.
And that does not work.
No. And it has no idea how to balance the two genres that it's going for at all. And that is, I think, the thing that really is a detriment to the whole show. Because if you fix balancing the genres better, I think the show actually is, like, becomes decent. Yeah.
Not that I think that anything would truly make, because I think the premise of Italian mafia boss goes to Korea is inherently silly, and I don't know how you make that a truly great show, but I think we can make it a good show. Yeah, that's, I think, really where it all boils down to.
Right.
But we've ranted and raved for about 50 minutes and praised Taecyeon, I think, for a good 20 of those minutes.
Because he's really the only part of this show that is worth watching.
Yes.
And it makes me sad for Song Joong Ki, because, like, I know he can be a good actor, but I'm like, what on earth are you doing right now?
To pick better shows. And the fact of the matter that I'm looking at this, and the only show I see lined up next is Arthdale Chronicles Season 2, makes me sad.
And it's like, just to look at the shows he's been doing, Arthdale Chronicles is, like, a very bizarre show. That's a weird show for him to be doing. He also just did a weird space movie.
A weird space movie, yes.
And I'm like, Dan loves it.
If you want a recommendation, Dan absolutely loved that movie.
I think it looks absolutely stupid, but like...
I do too. Again, I'm not a space person.
No.
So...
And then it's like,
here's where we are.
We've really had a big drop off in the shows that he decided to pick after Descendants of the Sun. There was a big drop off.
Is there correlation and causation around his divorce?
Maybe. Who knows?
But overall, I think that we watched this.
We did.
For reasons.
Mainly to complain about how bad it was. Because that's the thing that we do now, is we watch shows and so we can complain about them.
Just wait for our Imitation review. We have a lot of thoughts.
There's so many thoughts about that one too. So,
but
lovely.
Yeah, but we are also gonna do. I mean, the Penthouse season 3.
Mm-hmm.
But that will be around other things. We're gonna do the Penthouse all the Penthouse together.
All of them, all 3 Penthouse.
All 3 of Penthouses. And Sky Castle and mine.
We're doing a rich people show roundup.
Rich people murder shows.
Yes.
We're doing the rich people murder shows.
Mm-hmm. So those slight, just a teaser for the future, for the drama content that will be coming.
If anybody wants to watch the shows that we are going to podcast.
Yes.
Don't watch this one. It's not worth it. Also, don't watch Imitation. Not worth it.
Imitation, nothing happens. We're 7 or 8 episodes, nothing has happened. Like,
we're 8 episodes
terrible.
in, Kayla.
Yeah.
Nothing has happened.
Not a single thing has happened on that show.
We watch it together, and 2 of us together cannot figure out the plot of this show.
No, not at all.
Because there isn't
one. And then we have to watch the Penthouse 3 after it, so we have motivation to finish it. So
true. It's very funny, because the Penthouse 3 is also
not good.
It's also not good. We're having a time.
We're just having a time of watching really bad shows together right now, and this is just the thing that we've decided to do.
The best part was that we were so happy with the Penthouse 1 and 2 that we're like, oh, let's watch the Penthouse 3 together.
And the Penthouse 3 is like going to shit. Like,
the Penthouse 3 is falling apart.
And it's like, and at least with the Penthouse 3, that's like a shared opinion, I know. That everyone thinks the Penthouse 3 is falling apart in comparison to the other 2 seasons, so.
It's not as good. It's nowhere near as good.
It's a fine show. Like, in comparison to a lot of other shows, but it's not Vincenzo. But the first 2 seasons of the Penthouse were so good that this one is not nearly even remotely close to those 2 seasons.
No, it's not nearly as good.
Yeah.
You can really just see it going downhill, and that's upsetting. Though.
Right.
But, overall, still better than Vincenzo.
Mm-hmm. And that's really now the bar that the 2021 K-dramas have to reach. Are you better than Vincenzo?
If yes, great.
Great.
That's the low bar.
It's such a low bar. The bar is so low.
A child could accidentally crawl over that bar.
Oh, yes. 100%.
But it's the bar we have.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, that's been our episode.
That's been us complaining about Vincenzo for 50 minutes. Hooray.
If you're still here,
yes.
You know the pain.
Oh, yes.
You know.
It's our first K-drama content in a while, I think.
Something
and
like
it's an episode that we just complain about a show for an hour, so that's really just bringing the positive energy here.
Yeah, the true positive energy that everyone wants. Mm-hmm. Truly amazing. But it's what we got.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
We will have better K-drama content in the future. So, yeah, we're going to have a little bit of both in the future, because we will have another one where we complain about it, and then we will have some where we are much more positive.
It's actually good.
Yes.
Yes, we're gonna have more fun K-drama content, so stay tuned for that.
Yes.
I like And also, we're gonna have more fun K-drama content.
Oh,
because we are planning some more fun episodes with that.
We are planning some more fun episodes that aren't just us sitting here and talking about a drama for like an hour. So yes. But if you are listening to us on YouTube, we are also available on all other podcasting platforms. And if you're listening to us there, we also have a YouTube channel, which we post all our episodes. This episode we'll have fun visuals to go along with it. So if you want to see that, I would recommend the YouTube channel. But we also post a lot
We're gonna make an evil PowerPoint.
I will be making an evil PowerPoint in theme with the show. Because I thought that would be fun. We also post a lot of fun other clip videos and shorts and everything on the YouTube channel, and we also have a Twitter account where we post when all of our episodes go up and just other random fun tweets sometimes. But yay.
Yay.
And
bye.
Bye.